Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for our monthly Story of event, where we get the opportunity to learn about the story of an entrepreneur and the people behind the business. My name is Sierra Ladroma. I am the project manager for the Iowa Center's Women's Business Center. The Iowa Center's Women's Business Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. You will all receive a follow-up email after this event with a form to complete. Please do us a big favor and take some time to fill this form out. So this information allows us to continue providing free educational programming for small business owners in Iowa. Please take some time now to locate the chat function on your Zoom screens so you can join the conversation by asking questions or adding comments. Today's story is with the creators of Lucky Lotus, Kevin and Souriyno Chen. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this. Jamie says, cannot wait to get the new crispy noodle dish. Girl, me too. Me too. Okay.
I know.
So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
You want to start, Kevin?
Sure. Kevin here. Yo and I both born and raised in Des Moines, grew up on the south side. We're obviously brothers. So we have, Yo's the oldest, and then our middle brother, Donnie, lives in Chicago, and then me, and then we have a younger sister, Lily, who's
a baby
sister. Who's only 12 years old.
Yeah. So Lily and I are 20 years apart, which is pretty crazy, but we love having her. It's been a huge blessing for us and our family.
Are you all involved with Lucky Lotus?
Yeah, we all are. Minus Lily. I mean, she'll come and she'll hang out and do a few things here and there. But yeah, so the people who are involved with Lucky Lotus, my husband, Phil, my mother, Dala, our mother, Dala, our father, Sang, Donnie, he lives in Chicago. He's another brother of ours. And then it's just us two.
That's excellent. So I want to hear from the both of you, what does Lucky Lotus mean to you? What does having this business mean to you?
Sure. For me, Lucky Lotus is a labor of love. It is, a family-owned restaurant, a place where we can congregate, share meals, enjoy fun, exciting conversations, and just shared experiences. We basically wanted to share our love of Southeast Asian food to the community, and bring exciting and creative dishes to Des Moines, and basically wanted to just kind of help move the food culture forward that's just buzzing tremendously in Des Moines right now.
Yep. So the funny thing is, it took us a long time to come up with the name Lucky Lotus for the restaurant. So our parents owned Cafe Fusion on the east side of Des Moines. Most of you probably know or don't, but
for 15 solid years.
15 years. And Yo and I and, all of us were just, we wanted something new and something fresh and fun, and we wanted to take over, after our parents and build Lucky Lotus. But so the Lotus is, it basically embodies our family's journey to the United States after being uprooted from Laos and, during the Vietnam War. And, our parents barely knew any English coming here. But much like a lotus flower sprouting among the muddy waters, the journey to the American dream just blossomed, and just like a lotus.
Yeah, so in Asian culture, the symbol of a lotus is rebirth. It kind of just represents our journey with taking over something my parents established for a solid 15 years, and just giving it a new, refreshing look and take, and help, again, just spur the buzz of the food movement in Des Moines.
Yeah, and it's, just carrying on our parents' legacy of, and just keep it thriving.
Yeah, I think, well, one, that just gave me chills. I love the success of immigration. Honestly, that's the ultimate dream, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that is like the American dream.
Literally, yes. I love that. I love the coming out of Lucky Lotus. As small business owners, do you remember a moment where you just had to look around or stand back and be like, look what we did? Like, look at what we've just created.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like when we first opened, like our first solid week of opening, we were like, we at the end of the night, we would be exhausted, but so amazed. And, we would come out into the empty dining room and be like, wow, like we did this, like we created this. And I mean, it just makes us so happy. And we miss people in our dining room so much because of how lively and fun it is. And people just like hang out here for hours. And it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, as chaotic and stressful it can feel sometimes with like the abundance of love and like overwhelming support and people just like in the dining room completely at max capacity, like it's good to just sit down once in a while, reflect, and just think about like how awesome this has been so far. Even through a pandemic, I mean, we had to pivot so much and start a whole new takeout endeavor, basically, and have our dining room sit empty. I mean, we really, really miss people. But yeah, there have been multiple times where I've sat down here at like 10 p.m. after we finally got done cleaning, closed at 9 o'clock, but we still had so much to clean. Sat down, enjoyed a beer with some family members, some friends, some staff, and just kind of reflected on like, wow, number one, we couldn't have done any of this without a lot of our family members and friends. And then number two, it's just like the community support has been so overwhelming that like it's this feeling that I just
Yeah,
it's hard to
it's
describe.
undescribable. Just like sitting here and thinking, like, wow, what did we do to this?
Yeah, I remember pre-COVID driving by on Ingersoll, which is honestly a key location. I love it. We've talked about this, Kevin. Um, I remember driving by and being like, I'm missing out on a party right now. I don't know what's going on in there, but something is cool. And even driving by now, we might not see the people, but I mean, on behalf of friends and coworkers who love Lucky Lotus, that energy is still there. So the dining room might not be open, but it's very, very, very clear that it's still there. And I love that you guys exude that in your social media posts and the way that you interact with the community. And you're absolutely right. The community loves you. Uh, and I want to kind of talk about, how did you get to that point? Or was that just surprising almost?
Oh my goodness, it was so surprising. I mean, so we're huge on social media, and I mean, it honestly is key to like how successful Lucky Lotus is. We just need to remind people that we're here, and we're here to serve you guys all amazing food made from love. And as far as like such a huge following, I mean, it's just shocking to us, right? I mean,
Yeah, certainly.
overwhelming.
Yeah, I think one of the keys, to our success has definitely been social media for sure. And in the beginning stages, we tried to be extremely proactive about that with generating buzz. So we kept a lot of things, pretty hush hush, pretty secret. Word got out fairly, like a little faster than we would have liked about like what was actually going on here.
Oh yeah, news spreads very quickly.
Yeah, so in the beginning, when we were first remodeling and opening, we like boarded up all the windows with fun newspaper and like little hints and designs and things to just kind of get people like questioning what the heck is going on. Maybe have some like folks walk by and try to like peep through the newspaper holes or something like that. But then a lot of it, it's just like taking photographs of the things that we're hanging up, the artists that we're collaborating with, the new wallpaper in the bathroom. But then like also going around to meet with local business owners as well, talking to them, asking them for some advice. I've gotten a handful of advice from a lot of local business owners, and they're willing to share, a lot because, it's so important to keep the community going. And we know that collaboration is key to that. So just chatting with people and just introducing yourselves is really important.
I think you hit it right on the spot of Des Moines is, I don't know what it is with Des Moines, but there's this collective community feel within small business owners that is, we got you, we're here for you, and this is our city, not my city.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Are you two, side note, are you two fans of Schitt's Creek?
Gosh,
I haven't seen it.
Okay. If you ever do watch it, one of the characters, David Rose, creates a shop, and it's called Rose Apothecary. And he does this thing where they don't have social media or anything like that, but they have a friends and family grand opening. And he gives little hints, he sends out little invites, but one thing leads to another and it spreads like wildfire. And it reminds me exactly of kind of what you were talking about, of you didn't even expect this. But when the Rose Apothecary store opened, it was down the street and everyone knew about it, and it was the spot to be, and it was this place of support. So if anything, watch that episode.
Okay.
Okay, can one of you share if you remember the moment where you said to each other, this is it, we're doing this. We're opening this restaurant. We have the name, it's gonna happen.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've talked about like taking over for so many times. Like Yo and my brother-in-law Phil, they lived in Nashville, and I would go down there occasionally and have vacations down there and spend it with them. And we always loved going out to eat, going to new fun restaurants. And we always talked about like, we really need to open up a restaurant back home and, take over after mom and dad. And when did we finally decide? When you and Phil moved here?
Yeah, so Phil and I lived in Tennessee for about 5 years. Sorry, this is a long story, but we lived down in Tennessee for a good 5 years, and we loved it down there. We loved the food scene, the culture, and I think that's where we really started to appreciate the service industry. Like, we've always loved the service industry. My parents have been a part of it, but we never really fully got into it until we had that experience of it being in so many nooks and crannies of Nashville. And then when Kevin was coming down to visit, or when we traveled to like New York together, meet up in Atlanta or something like that and go experience food there, we were always reminded, hey, our parents have a restaurant back home. Like, we have some opportunity to take what they've built and do something really cool. So I think that the conversations have always been there for like a solid, 5 to 6 years or something like that. But Phil and I then moved to Des Moines because we just felt like it was a good stepping stone for us. His company is actually based here in Des Moines. So with my family here, his company here, it just kind of made sense for us to come back home. So once we came back home, we thought more about the plans, toyed with a few different spaces, different concepts and different ideas, but I feel like it really wasn't solidified until we found out that Crunkwich was closing.
Crunkwich closing, and then mom and dad's Cafe Fusion's lease was coming up.
Yeah, it was coming up. So it was almost like the perfect pairing. So we came here to look at the space. We looked around, loved the beautiful gold ceilings, loved just like the overall feel of it. It's very open. We have nice south-facing windows. We're like in a location where Ingersoll is really thriving and popping, and
it is the place
we were
to
like,
be.
holy shit, how do we make this work? So we just kind of looked at each other after touring this entire place, and we're like, okay, what are the next steps? Where can we go from here? And honestly, what's really funny is my dad, our dad was like, I just remember his face. He was sitting down in one of these chairs that was here, and he just looked absolutely defeated. He was like, I don't know what you guys are thinking. Like, I'm not sure how you're going to make this happen.
We would
but,
never.
like,
He thought we'd never
he
be
didn't think
able
that
to
we-
make it work here.
No.
Like
Why?
we would have. We would. It would just take so much work, I think, and
Yeah.
you know, like we even talked to the Kwang Tung. They own this building, and they're the ones who gave us the tour of the place, and they even reminded us to whatever you do to not open up a restaurant.
That's so
So-
interesting because look at you now.
Yeah.
It is a lot. It's hard work, but it's extremely rewarding.
I think that tying into dad being defeated is just like, we have to remember that he's been in the industry for 15 years. And for a while there, it was just like him and mom running the show. So it's like day in and day out. And he knew how exhausting it could be.
Mhm.
And he knew how hard it could be to find solid employees and people who are really willing to dedicate their time to being in that kind of industry.
Right. And he's cooked on the walk over there for 15 years by himself. So
Yeah, so I think that all in all, he was just like, I don't know how this can happen, but after the first couple weeks, mom and dad were like, holy hell, like you guys really did
what
something.
did we get ourselves into?
Yeah. So it's been a crazy ride.
I love that you shared when you kind of put the pieces together and decided that this is something that you really want to do. The universe almost said, okay, let's do it. And like opened up a spot, and it comes to say something of maybe your dad's exhaustion and your parents' exhaustion. In that experience, you both were learning what it would take to run this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, let's just talk about it. What is your favorite? If you were to go to Lucky Lotus, what would you order? I'm trying to know.
Gosh, that's so hard.
I've ordered almost everything, and I love everything, but I'm trying to know what the creators would eat.
Well, so basically what we decided as far as what we wanted on the menu were these like childhood favorites, what we grew up eating at home, and wanting to introduce, the people, the community of, things that you cannot find at a traditional like Laotian, Thai, Vietnamese restaurant, because it's almost sort of like cheap peasant food, and we want to show people what we grew up eating and how much we love and crave and miss those dishes. But what's the thing, like the heavenly beef with sticky rice is like always a comforting food for us. Anything with sticky rice, because you have all these different dips and relishes that you eat it with.
Yeah, so the heavenly beef, definitely I would order right away. What's funny about that is like it's such a simple and easy and thing to eat, and it's almost seen as more of like a snack in our culture. So I remember when we would take road trips with mom and dad when we were really young out to like Toronto or something. They would just stuff the car with heavenly beef and sticky rice, and we'd basically be eating that the whole way to Toronto.
Yeah.
Like this.
And like
12-hour
even
drive.
so our after school fried rice, which we created with the Chinese sausage, we would just eat that with sticky rice, and it was always a favorite. So why not mix the rice with the Chinese sausage?
Yeah, but honestly, if I were to choose one specific dish, I would say the nam khao. Like I would always eat the nam khao anytime. There's just like so much flavor and love that goes into it, and it's fairly easy to make. You just have to have the right ingredients. But the Nam Cow platter is great because it's like super refreshing and light feeling. And the flavors are just so bold. And you can basically, it's a lettuce wrap, and you take the rice that has been seasoned and made into little patties, then deep fried. Then once they're done being deep fried, broken back up and added, like you add more fresh ingredients such as cilantro, green onions. You could add shallots if you wanted to. You could add any kind of minced meats if you wanted to. But then you take that mixture, and it's basically this little rice salad. You take a romaine lettuce piece or any kind of lettuce that you love, and you just start assembling your own little bite. So you can add cherry tomatoes to it. You could add cucumbers, pickled veggies, like whatever the heck your palate wants that time or that day. And you can just like enjoy it to your own pleasure. It's so good.
That sounds delicious. I just want to put it out there that my family also packs Filipino food for road trips, for airplane rides, for movie theater. Like,
Yep, sounds like that's so true.
I remember going to the movies in the Philippines, and I would be like, what is that noise? And it's people unwrapping their tinfoil like food. And I was like, okay, we're all eating from home here tonight. I love that. It's different, and I love it. So we've talked a little bit about community. A lot of the people on here who are tuning in and who will watch in the future are entrepreneurs and small business owners. What advice do you have for them in creating or joining and growing their communities?
Yeah. First and foremost, I think supporting your local businesses, getting out there, talking to local business owners, tagging them in social media posts, shopping with them as much as possible, and just like really building that bond between people who are just like you, young entrepreneurs who have that spirit of wanting to own something and be a part of something bigger in the Des Moines area.
Yeah, just being extremely welcoming, inclusive. I remember one of the days I had pulled up here when we first got the building, and we were putting up all those lotus pictures in the window, and I think it probably intimidated Maya over there at Wildflower. So she had one of her gals run over across the street when I was coming in, and she was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And I was like, "We're opening up a Asian restaurant." And she was like, "Oh, thank God, because I thought you guys were opening up another floral shop across the way." But it's just like being extremely welcoming and inclusive, and just showing your support for each other is huge. We love supporting small, and I mean, it shows like with our community.
Yeah, I think, while some competition is good, it's great to have friendly competition. I think that collaboration is even better. I think it's just a way to continue to uplift folks and really help build something strong.
Yeah, we always love collaborating.
I think you just made a quote to remember. I mean, competition is great, but collaboration is better. Did everyone hear that? So, okay, we're going to talk about COVID for a second. Mm-hmm. Y'all just celebrated your 1 year recently. Congratulations. Love it. But also that 1 year included surviving, pivoting, doing what you needed to do during a pandemic. What hesitancies and concerns did you have when that all kind of went down? Because I remember in March, I was thinking, oh, we'll just work from home for 2 weeks. This will pass. And here we are today. Right. Do you remember what that was like or still like?
Oh, yeah. So when it first happened, I remember going home that night and laying in bed. I probably didn't even sleep much that night, but just wondering, what are we going to do? Like are we going to have to close the restaurant? It hasn't even been a full year. And I mean, it was probably the scariest moment that we've had. We decided to just operate with our skeleton crew. So it was me, Yo, mom, and dad,
And Phil.
running the show here.
Yeah.
And we thought, we probably didn't even last a full week here with just us because of the love and over support of everybody that came through. And
I would say what really scared us in the beginning, for me, is I think when it was announced that COVID, is a real thing, is a real scary thing that are taking lives and making people extremely sick. There was obviously a huge scare in that, and folks were going elsewhere to buy things. They needed to buy toilet paper or supplies for their home. So we saw a humongous decrease in sales for a good solid week, to the point where we're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even sure if we can afford to pay our employees right now. So that's the reason why we had to switch to a skeleton crew of just, me, Kevin, mom, dad, and my husband, Phil. So, and, Phil has a full-time job as well. So then he's working full-time from home and then coming here to help us close. So it was like, we really needed to buckle down and figure out what we were going to do. And luckily, after everything kind of passed and people got their toilet paper and their hand soap and hand sanitizers, people were, coming back out and enjoying some takeout. But I definitely remember that was a huge, scary moment for us. And it was incredibly mentally exhausting.
Yeah, I really appreciate the transparency that Lucky Lotus has really put out there. Especially there was a time where there was exposure of COVID within your team. And I could feel, and I have heard the nerves of businesses say like, oh my God, like we have to close for a while, we have to share this, or do we share this? How much do we share to our communities? And I want to applaud you for doing that. Because I remember seeing that, and I remember the comments of both Facebook and Instagram of everyone just saying thank you and just be safe and just take care of everyone, I love that. And I think that really portrays how strong of a community that you have created and how stronger it got because you brought us in with your experience as a team.
Yeah, definitely. We think it's so important to be upfront and transparent about what's happening here and with us. And
yeah,
it's community first. It's like community over profits. Like, we're not gonna sit here, like, this is just our personal business, but we're not going to sit here and put other lives in danger just so that we can make another dollar.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
exactly.
worth it.
Along with COVID, there were also a lot of moments where businesses and people, entrepreneurs or not, were able to express their values of what they believed in. And there was a lot of things around the Black Lives Matters movement that is still happening and will continue to happen, hopefully. But something that Lucky Lotus has done is also be very transparent of where you stand and how and what your values are. How important is it as business owners to truly express what you believe in and what your values are?
I think it's extremely important. I mean, we understand that people have their different viewpoints and their opinions, but it honestly just doesn't mean that it's right. Like, if someone doesn't agree with where we stand with Black Lives Matter, we're sorry to see them go, but you don't have to support us. Luckily, the majority of our city is welcoming and stands by our beliefs. But I feel like, personally, as a business, you should voice your opinions on where you stand on that, because it's
so important. And I mean, earlier this year, we announced that we would be donating 25% of our profits to the NAACP, and our community just came through so much, and we were able to donate $1,000 to the organization, and that is huge.
Yeah, that is incredible. So this is a bit of a broad question, but what has your experience been as BIPOC business owners?
Go for it, Kevin.
Well, the idea of our business grew from, the roots of, and love from where we came from. And, we're proud to be, BIPOC business owners and share our culture with the city. And, our neighbors have also been so welcoming towards us, and we're extremely grateful for that.
Yeah. I feel like we're lucky to live in a city like Des Moines where the BIPOC community, at least what we experience, is very welcoming of us. I'm sure that's not, unfortunately, it's probably not that way across all communities, but we're very fortunate. But we will continue to fight for racial inequalities and injustices, in the Midwest, in Des Moines, all over the world. So far, we've had experience.
That's great. That's great to hear. So we've talked about how you had buckled down for a little while, and it was just that bare bone team, but then you grew. As you're growing and you hire on and you bring on these team members, what do you look for in a team member? What kind of qualities are you looking when you build your work family?
Above all, someone who's just a really good person. It can get stressful. It can get hectic at times. You're working in a kitchen where order tickets are printing rapidly and people are shouting for ingredients, or the wok is constantly being stirred and fires are happening on the wok. Good fires. But above all, someone just super supportive, knows how to have a good laugh,
works hard, and just above all of it, have fun. And I mean, just our work environment is, we like to have a good time here.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you have motivated your team members where, honestly, it's been really hard, it's been really stressful, things are not easy right now? How do you support your team to just remember everything is okay? Like right now, everything is okay. Let's just keep doing this good work together.
Yeah, we like to have a lot of team meetings and collaboration, but on top of that, it's just like very open and honest dialogue. If someone is not feeling well, if they are feeling just mentally exhausted, we're always trying to check up on everyone and make sure that people have the hours that they're looking for, enough rest, enough days off, some time for themselves. But we like to also just throw like fun, random,
like little get-togethers
at the restaurant.
We'll cater in food. We'll have some drinks. We'll just talk to them. We always welcome them in, like every shift, asking them how their day was or their weekend if we haven't seen them in a while. And we'll send fun like little group messages to our team with like, I don't know, funny memes or something,
or like awesome reviews too, positive reviews that we get from patrons, and just encourage them and say like, hey, you made this customer have an extremely positive experience. Great job. Like, let's keep pushing it forward and make sure that we are fully taking care of everyone. And
so Kevin, I feel like we talked about this, of how the menu changes a little bit introducing new items, taking items off, and there was maybe that bit of hesitancy of continuing to change things, but turns out everyone loves it. So what was, I guess, do you remember what that kind of felt like, where you were just like, we're doing this, or we are so nervous right now, but we're doing it anyways?
Yeah, so we remember, gosh, I think it was just slimming our menu down because of the amount of inventory that we would have to stock. Like, we took our whole back storage room and got like, what, 3 more freezers for it because we just didn't have enough room for everything. And then we turned our downstairs walk-in, we installed a walk-in cooler down there and added more fridges and freezers, and we just couldn't keep up with inventory. And we decided we wanted to keep things fresh and fun and new and get people excited to come back and order with us. Like, we just launched that new menu item today and people are going nuts over it. And of course you have people who, are creatures of habit and want, a dish that we took off, but we constantly want to remind people that, it's not gone forever. It's coming back. We just like to reintroduce new things to folks.
Yeah, I like all of that. I think this last year, people were really looking for consistency and the constant uncertainty that we were all facing. But this was different. Your guys' change of things was different, right? Because it was exciting. It wasn't something that we had to be afraid of or anything like that. So I really appreciate actually these changes in the menu and things that you're welcoming and bringing back at times too. So what are we looking forward to for both of you? What are you looking forward to in your entrepreneurial journeys?
What would you say, Yo?
For me, myself, and for Lucky Lotus, I want to continue collaborating with local businesses. Our new dish features handmade ramen noodles by Trish. So shout out to Trish and the Ramen Club. They're doing really incredible things. But just collaborating with businesses, whether you're, a place that sells like Marnie, a place that sells clothing items. Like, we'd love to be able to host a pop-up there sometime, or do a pop-up at Wildflower, or get the community together to collaborate and have like a night market when it's safe or something, to just like hang out and have food around, or people can shop and drink and eat. But that's what I'm really looking forward to, is just building more relationships with people in the Des Moines Metro and the greater Midwest region. Try to find ways to complement each other and just have fun, creating a fun space for folks to get out and enjoy. Just really make the community super vibrant.
I think that is my next question was going to be, what's going to be the first thing you do once COVID is no longer a threat to the community? And that's partner like crazy with all these people. But I mean, partnerships are still happening, right? So, I mean, collaborations are still going on. For the entrepreneurs who are tuning in, what's some advice of how do you go about creating those collaborations? Like, how do you approach a business? Like, how would you two like to be approached by someone else?
I mean, we have people who, businesses for the most part have reached out to us on Instagram. It's social media, or we'll get an email about, wanting to do some sort of partnership together.
Yeah, slide into those DMs. We're always there.
Kevin, are you looking forward to anything, or what are you looking forward to as far as like being an entrepreneur?
My goodness, just continuing what we've built upon Lucky Lotus, and potentially growing our business venture and maybe opening up something new.
That's excellent. For the I noticed, I think Kevin, we talked about this as well, that you guys are no longer doing curbside. It's just walk and pick up, right?
Just
Um, has that been taken kindly? No issues?
we get calls here and there and ask if we could, do curbside, and we've let our employees know that yes, we can, but we'd like no contact and just have the customer pop their trunk open or roll their back window down, and our employees just set the food in their car. But other than that, it hasn't been much of an issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, the people who support Lucky Lotus just know that we are extremely cautious about what's going on. So if that's the case and that's how we're going to do things, then they're willing to support us. I don't think that we've gotten too much flack on. And of course, if you call us and you really need a curbside delivery, happy to accommodate it.
Yeah,
That's
we'll do it.
It's what we're here for.
So with the busyness of owning a restaurant, right? Like y'all are busy. How do you take care of yourselves for like personal and professional, right? Like how do you balance all of that?
I mean, honestly, just taking our own, not having to worry about anything. Mostly for me, it's I always need a vacation to get my mind off of the restaurant. And I live just up on 42nd, like 5 minutes away, and it's just always hard for me to not think about the restaurant or come down here on my days off. So it's for me not having much access of getting here, so I'd have to take a vacation.
For myself, I would personally say that taking days off is extremely important for me. So a lot of the times, I'm working on the walk, so cooking all of the stir fry dishes, the fried rice, and that thing is heavy. So when you're constantly flipping that thing and like dealing with a lot of heat and oil splatters and stuff, like I make sure to take at least one day off of the week, just kind of rest and reset, spend time with my new puppy, with Phil, with just being around the house, and maybe even getting creative and cooking at home too, and thinking of new ideas. But I also love to just kind of unplug a little bit too from media, especially with like these past events that have been going on just very recently. It that stresses me out a ton with what's happening in America currently. And for a while I was just like binge watching like news feeds and Instagram feeds and seeing what's going on. And I think it's important to be aware of all that stuff. It's just, I think it's also really good to unplug from the media as well and just kind of, do the best that you can in your own life, in your own community at this moment. And then I also love to get outside. I like going on walks. I like being in the woods. This past summer, I was biking a ton, biking to work, but it's just like a way to get some exercise and get rid of, some stresses that we may have from the restaurant.
That's excellent. Thank you. So I have essentially 2 more questions left, but I do want to shout out to anyone who is attending. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We're literally getting them right now, so we can ask them anything we want.
I think a question here. How do we go about that, Sierra?
From Catherine Hutchison.
Where is it? Oh, okay, hold on. The look and brand of Lucky Lotus is so beautiful and legit inside and out. I am curious if you did that all yourselves or hired businesses or individuals to help.
This is all us.
Okay.
So yeah, we did not hire anyone. Fortunately, our brother is a graphic designer in Chicago. He graduated from Iowa State, but he helped a lot with like the logo, the image of everything. And then I would say that since he was away, Kevin and I really designed the space. So we are the ones who decided to hang up the umbrellas, to hang up lanterns, to just like have Asian pottery, like a very Asian feel that's like funky and fresh. So yeah, I would say it was all us. And even like some of like the shoddy tile work and stuff that you see in the bathrooms and like on the floor, like we did that all by hand.
This
like,
is all us, baby.
It was crazy. We just had family members come by too, and they would stick some tiles up in the wall for us, or like shout out to my cousin, our cousin Michelle. She helped us hang up wallpaper. I think it was like her second time hanging wallpaper in her life. But we did that in the bathroom together. But for the most part, we built everything just by hand here.
DIY. And we've always just been so,
I'm obsessed with that.
Maybe we should start
I just love that everything is self-made. Everything y'all are self-made successes. And that everything there you've had your hands on. That's incredible. Let me see here. So Chris asked, what has surprised you the most?
What has surprised us the most as far as what?
Just take it, go with it where you'd like.
Surprised us the most. It truly is the community, the support from you all. It's just unbelievable. We seriously cannot thank everybody enough who has been, on this journey with us, and just the ongoing success with Lucky Lotus.
So Chris did add entering into your own business. So maybe what lessons have you learned that have really stuck with you? While you think, I am going to add that Lisa says, I always feel like I'm in a big city restaurant when eating there. Such a good vibe. Jamie says, same.
That was definitely one of the big things. We wanted to make people feel like, like we went to New York and Chicago and to all these big city restaurants, and we wanted the same feeling here.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure that it would work, but we were so passionate enough about it that we just kind of tried to make it work as best as we possibly could.
We have a question from Tyler, and it says, do you feel that Lucky Lotus pulls menu dishes and restaurant design more from any particular Asian culture or country, or do you incorporate more of a variety?
That is an excellent question, Tyler. I would say that for the most part, it is very dominated by Laotian food, so the country of Laos. And then to add on to that, more on the Thai side, and definitely a lot of Vietnamese influence as well. But basically, it just stems from our culture and our family and what we like to eat. So we do have Vietnamese roots, we have Laotian roots, and we have Chinese roots. And in Thailand as well, I would say that there is some of that because it's like Isan Thai, which is like northern Thailand, which borders Laos and in that area where like my family came from. So a lot of those peoples are, essentially Laotian people as well. So it comes from that particular region. And then some of the menu items though are just kind of like fun and interesting, where they come from like Chinese roots or Chinese backgrounds. And then one in particular it's been surprisingly a lot popular than I expected, but the bing bing wrap. So the bing bing wrap derives from a food that I ate in my travels of Taiwan. So Phil and I went to Taiwan together for our honeymoon and ate this. We ate so much food there, but there's like this incredible dish we had that was so memorable on a nice like warm morning. And there's a street vendor that was grilling a flatbread like scallion pancake style thing. And then he was stuffing it with some beef that had been marinated in like black bean sauce and some 5-spice, and he added some pickled veggies to it, some cilantro, green onions, and formed it into this little wrap for us. And we were just walking around the stalls eating this wrap and just savoring like how amazing it was. It was so good that we went back to the stand and bought 2 more. But that comes from Taiwan in our travels. So it's not all essentially, it's not all Southeast Asian. The majority of it definitely is, but then we definitely have pulled from like Chinese roots and such, and Taiwanese roots.
Excellent. So we're just getting ready to wrap up here. My last question for the both of you is, for whether someone is a new, aspiring, or current entrepreneur and small business owner, from your lessons, what is one piece of advice from each of you that you want to pass on to them as they continue to grow or start their dreams?
There are times where it's like a roller coaster ride, right? You're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. You may have more highs or more lows than others, but really just try to just be in that middle and see and just kind of ride it out and try to do the best that you can possibly do and be the best that you can possibly be. I think it's really important to kind of just like stay grounded and stay focused on, what you're trying to do, whether it's being a florist or being a restaurant or stick to what you know best and what your plan is, and don't be afraid to be innovative as well, or do something creative that you might be afraid of. Take risks, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing to stem off is to just be real. And I mean, honestly, it's so cliche, but never give up. I mean, there were so many times where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this anymore. But I mean, we're here and look where we are.
I really love that. Thank you so much. So it looks like you'll be getting some orders tonight.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a busy night for us.
Yeah, if you eat anywhere, eat at Lucky Lotus tonight, everyone. So my friends, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Honestly, I really appreciate it. On behalf of the Iowa Center team, we're obsessed. We're obsessed with Lucky Lotus. We're so excited to come back to the office whenever that is, and be able to just kind of walk down and grab lunch or whatever it might look like. Thank you so much for everything that you bring and have brought to this community. Ingersoll, like you said, is thriving, and it's just going to get even better. And I'm so excited that you are part of that movement.
Well, thanks so much for having us. And I mean, if anybody, needs anything at all, we're here for you guys.
Yeah, if you want to collaborate, if you want to chat, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We really appreciate the outpouring support for our business and for other businesses as well. Just please continue to support your local businesses that really make Des Moines something special. So, go down the street to the Bartender's Handshake, go to Bellhop, go to Marnie, go to Wildflower, go to The Collective. Like, all these places are so incredible, and we really got to keep supporting them.
I agree completely. My friends, have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll all see you soon. Bye.
Bye.